This is the QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Jul Denjai. Thank you for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. In a flurry of engagements on Friday, President Adama Barrow received in audience senior UN officials, the Ombudsman and the National Scorpions Fan Club at the State House. Now, in an interview with QTV's Janaba Sonko in Beijing, China's ambassador to the Gambia, Liu Jing, has revealed that his embassy will commence issuing visas to China for the first time in 2025. Afrobarometer, a research institute through its national partner on Friday, released its 10th public survey data on the perceptions of Gambians on the quality of democracy and governance in the Gambia. Today, the 23rd of August, is the Global Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. In sports news, Yankuba Minte will be the center of attention for Gambian fans when his team, Brighton and Hove Albion, play Manchester United in the English Premier League this weekend. These and other stories coming ahead in the next half an hour. To stay tuned. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you are just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now, in a flurry of engagements at the State House on Friday, President Adama Barrow received in audience senior UN officials and the Ombudsman. As we hear in this report by Ansumana Esonyasi and narrated by Lolly M. Kamara, the President also received the National Scorpions Fan Club. Accompanied to the presidency by the Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department, Ibrahim Mboub, and members of the Gambia Commission for Refugees, UN representatives Ali Muhammad and Carl Frederick Paul were at the presidency to commend government for their efforts in protecting and promoting the rights of refugees in the Gambia and to explore other possible areas of collaboration. Following their closed-door meeting with the Gambian leader, Ibrahim Mboub, Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department, told journalists that one of the issues that featured prominently in their discussion was the issue of statelessness, and noted that over the years, since ratifying various UN refugee instruments, the Gambia has taken concrete steps to address refugee challenges such as statelessness.
We have up to 4,000 refugees in the Gambia from 21 countries. This is very important to the UNHCR and, of course, to the United Nations to measure the compliance of the Gambia to this call. So we are very compliant as a government.
Carl Frederick Paul, the UN resident coordinator in the Gambia, and Ali Muhammad, the UNHCR representative in Dakar, spoke highly of the Gambia's strong show of political will to address key migration challenges. And while they gave assurances of the UN's continued support and partnership, they acknowledged the need to further strengthen relationships between government and stakeholders.
We assured him and the government of the Gambia of the availability of the United Nations to continue to really support the rights of the refugees, but also to support the Gambia in addressing these questions in a durable and sustainable manner.
We have a fruitful meeting with the President to express our gratitude to him, to the government of Gambia for the support that the government continue to give to Gambian Refugee Commission, which is our main partner, and also Governor, Gambia Food and Nutrition Association. We are working closely, looking for a durable solution for refugee and stateless person in Gambia.
Next to visit the President was Ombudsman Bakari K. Sanyang and his delegation. They were at the presidency to present their latest activity report to the President in fulfillment of a constitutional requirement. The meeting with President Barrow also availed the Ombudsman an opportunity to share with the head of state important issues relating to their work.
And today the issues we reported to the President were those complaints that we've heard from the public concerning their interaction with public officers as well as the institutions. We've also reported to him our findings that we've done in our own during our own investigation or our own observation in the activities of other institutions. And one notable institution that we discussed with him was our activity during the voter registration, the presidential elections, as well as the National Assembly elections conducted by the IEC.
The last delegation to pay a courtesy call on the president on Friday morning was the National Scorpions Fan Club, who were accompanied by the Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakari Waibaji. Speaking to the press following their meeting with President Barrow, Abdoulaye Pouy, admin officer of the Scorpions Fan Club, shared with the press some of the things they discussed with the president.
Our main objective of meeting with the president is to express our profound gratitude of the president's support towards youths and sports in general in this country. We have expressed to him that as a national fan, representing all the fans in this country, we have acknowledged his profound support to youths and also how best he is promoting the sports development through the length and breadth of this country, and to see that the national flag of this country is also raised higher in all international sport arenas.
Meanwhile, on behalf of the fan club, Mr. Pouy thanked government for their support to the sports community over the years. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
Now, in an exclusive interview with QTV's Janaba Sonko, China's ambassador to the Gambia, Liu Jing, has revealed that his embassy will commence issuing visas to China for the first time in 2025. Here is the report.
Since the Gambia resumed diplomatic ties with China in March 2016, there has been a significant increase in exchanges in media, health, agriculture, and infrastructural developments across various sectors. However, as China's Banjul embassy does not issue visas, Gambians must travel to Dakar, Senegal to secure a visa, which imposes a financial burden, aside from the time spent traveling to and from Dakar by intending visitors. Here, the Chinese ambassador to Gambia, Liu Jing, reaffirms his government's commitment to fostering stronger diplomatic ties with the Gambia through the issuance of visas to Gambians by the Banjul embassy.
The Chinese government has decided to set up a visa office in our embassy.
Wow.
In this way, it will. You can understand that it will facilitate the future people's exchange among our two countries. Yeah. And now we have already started our preparation job. Of course, it will take a long time. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sure that the visa office will be put into operation first half of next year. Yeah. I also like to share some figures with you. Last year, nearly 300 Gambia friends visited China. Yeah. That's just after the COVID-19 seasons. Yeah. 2/3 of your National Assembly members have visited China, and taking that chance, they also had an in-depth discussion with his counterpart.
Reacting to this news is Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, Gambia's information minister, who was in Beijing attending the 6th Forum on China-Africa Media Cooperation and think tank high-level dialogue.
We are delighted to get this news from the Chinese. I think going to Senegal to apply for visas has been a logistical and financial nightmare for many Gambians. Now that we are boosting ties, we are deepening ties between Gambia and China in trade and tourism, where many Gambians will be traveling to China for trade and tourism purposes. I think this is welcome news. So I think being able to apply for the visa in the Gambia really demonstrates and reflects the deepening ties between the two countries, but also that the Chinese are also concerned, also they care about the welfare of Gambians, but that's the welfare issue. So this is welcome.
This development will allow both China and the Gambia to have easy access to data of Gambians traveling to China in several areas and to identify areas of closer collaboration and intervention. Also, in recent years, there has been a rise in Gambian entrepreneurs traveling to Guangzhou in China to purchase merchandise to sell. Relocating the visa issuance in Banjul will therefore smoothen business trips for Gambian entrepreneurs and all Gambians wishing to visit China. Reporting for QTV News from Beijing, I am Jennifer Sonko.
Well, good news there. Now, Afrobarometer, a research institute through its national partner, the Center for Research and Policy Development, on Friday released its 10th public survey data on the perceptions of Gambians on the quality of democracy and governance in the country. Now, 71% of those surveyed support a new constitution, with the majority reported improvements in freedom of speech and political participation. Aliou Cisse attended the event, and this is his report.
This latest survey, conducted between April and May 2024, highlights several key public perceptions of governance and democracy in the Gambia. The survey, which involved a nationally representative sample of Gambians, was conducted through face-to-face interviews in the respondents' preferred language. Of those interviewed, 52% are women, 48% men, 59% live in urban area, and 41% in the rural area. One of the notable findings is that while 71% express support for a new constitution, 24% are against and 5% undecided. On the rejected 2020 draft constitution, 34% strongly agree that the main opposition United Democratic Party is more committed to a new constitution, while 27% believe the president's ruling National People's Party is more committed. Here is Setmati Jau, the Executive Director of the Center for Research and Policy Development.
And so we saw that 67% of the population, that is 7 out of every 10 Gambian, want this constitution to be reintroduced for amendment in the National Assembly. But we also asked them whether the National Assembly was right in rejecting the draft constitution, whether they agree or disagree in terms of that. And as you can see, more than half, 51%, say that they disagree or strongly disagree with the National Assembly rejecting the Constitution. So we also see that, however, more than 2/3, 68%, believe peace and security in the country have deteriorated under President Barrow.
According to the survey, compared to 2018 and 2021, more Gambians are calling for the trial of those accused of crimes and human rights violations under former President Jammeh. Also, the proposal asking for President Jammeh to be extradited has increased by 6%, from 55% in 2022 to 61% in 2024. The survey further reveals that the majority of respondents report improvements in freedom of speech, youth and women participation in politics, and preservation of law and order during President Barrow's tenure. The survey's findings also reflect the broader governance challenges, including the issue of lack of public trust in institutions.
So we can say in terms of the president, 36%, that is 4 out of 10, approve his work, while 6 out of 10 did not approve, or strongly disapprove or strongly disapprove. And for local government councillors, we have 34% and 60%, and I think at the bottom is the National Assembly, and this is the place where our constitution has to go to. So it's important that we need to look at that. So they are the least disapproved in terms of their performance.
Professor Lukman Saka, Director of Research and Knowledge Management at the Center for Research and Policy Development, recognizes data as an essential source of information that can guide government and civil society for growth and national development. Reacting to the findings during a panel discussion, Fatijang Senghor, co-investigator with Afrobarometer Gambia, lawyer Salou Tal, former president of the Gambia Bar Association, Mariama Danso of Fact Check Center Gambia, Aneta Mahoney of Gambia Participates, and constitutional lawyer Lamin J. Dabo, respectively, welcome the findings of the Afrobarometer and share their respective thoughts.
Of course, some red flags in the report, and one of them is the public trust. We've seen from 2018 to now how it's declining, and I think that's something that is seen across the board from central government to local government. And concerning the parliament, I think this is something also that we need to look into seriously, because the parliament, I think, scored very, very low.
It is very clear that Gambians overwhelmingly don't want the 1997 constitution as a starting point. It's very important we know that, because of what it represents to us.
Gambians want a better governance climate, but I have to say that documents alone cannot do that. We must have a commitment.
Afrobarometer is a pan-African, non-partisan survey research project that measures citizens' attitudes on democracy and governance, the economy, corruption, social tolerance, and other topics making headlines. In 1999, Afrobarometer was launched in 12 countries and is currently in over 34 African countries. The Afrobarometer's findings have been a major source for indicators towards sustainable development goals by reputable institutions, including the Abraham Index of African Governance, World Bank, and UNDP. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Well, interesting findings there. That report by Aliou Cissé will take us to a commercial break. When we return, we have international and sports news stories for you, to stay tuned.
Need a quick car service? Espas Motors has got you covered. From quick scans to oil changes and fuel filter replacements, we handle it all within an hour. Take advantage of our exclusive promotion with 35% off labor and 10% off service. Espas Motors is located at Bertil Harding Highway, opposite Kotu Power Station. Book now. Call 353-4444, 352-2222, 385-6822. Hurry. Offer ends September 7th. Espas Motors.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertil Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. The Bertil Harding Highway is transforming transportation in the Gambia with new roundabouts and vehicular overpasses. But safety must come first. Standing along the road or at roundabouts to flag down taxis creates unsafe conditions and unnecessary traffic jams. Remember, always board taxis at designated taxi garages or the garas located at major traffic points. Drivers stopping in no stopping zones will be penalized. Let's keep our roads clear and safe. Together, we can ensure a safe and efficient journey for all.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, this is QTV News, and now to the rest of our stories. Today, the 23rd of August, is the Global Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. Usman Jatta engaged historian Hassum Cissé on the history of the slave trade and events surrounding its abolition in 1807. Here is his report.
The story of Kunta Kinte's abduction from Juvore, North Bank region, is a classic imagery of the most brutal crimes against Africans, which endured for over 400 years. Kunta Kinte was based on one of author Alex Haley's ancestors, a Gambian man who was born around 1750, enslaved and taken to America, where he died around 1822. Haley said that his account of Kunta's life in Roots is a mixture of fact and fiction. Nonetheless, Kunta Kinte's story represents millions of Africans who were shipped to forced labor in Europe and the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade. The remembrance of slavery serves as a reminder of the tragedy of the slave trade and its lasting impact on the world. The Gambia's prominent historian and writer Hassum Cissé described the Middle Passage as a month of terror.
From James Island, the ships are boarded. They are packed like sardines. Okay? You had the overseers. These are very, very heartless men, who were asked to be the bodyguard, in the slave ship, because there were slave rebellions. Gambians resisted. Gambians were stubborn slaves. They resisted. They caused, slave uprisings in the boats. Okay, but when these uprisings start, it is these overseers who will crush the uprisings. Sometimes slaves were tortured to death.
The slave trade began in the middle of the 15th century, where Portuguese ships sailed down the West African coast. They initially arrived in search of gold and spices, and in the process came across a more valuable commodity, human beings. The theme for this year's remembrance is creating global freedom, countering racism with justice in societies and among nations. The Gambian historian branded the Atlantic slave trade as a catalyst to some of the worst crimes like systemic racism currently experienced by Africans.
Some Tuabs cannot see the black man as an equal. Why? Because we are once their slaves. So the greatest legacy of this obnoxious trade is racism. True, Africa was depopulated. 14 million of our brothers and sisters left the continent. Land was left uncultivated. The families were broken, apart.
Records show that between 1500 and 1800, European traders brought and shipped Africans to work unpaid in the Americas and the Caribbean. In January 2024, at the Janjambure Bicentenary commemoration, President Barrow outlined the Gambia's readiness to take a leading role in the fight for reparations. Hasum Sise explains the reparations process.
Now, what are reparations? Well, those who profited from the slave trade should pay back money to Africa because they made us to lose. Men, women, knowledge, skills, technology, and so on.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the day is one to remember and honor the millions of Africans who were trafficked and enslaved. The Gambia's connection with the slave trade gained global prominence following the publication of Alex Haley's book, Roots, which inspired the Roots Homecoming Festival. The date chosen for the commemoration recalls that on the night of the 22nd to the 23rd of August 1791 in Saint Domingo, today the Republic of Haiti saw the beginning of the uprising that will play a crucial role in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. It was the only recorded instance of the enslaved successfully defeating their enslavers. Osman Jata reporting for QTV News.
The report there by Osman Jata will take us to sports news in a moment. Yankuba Minteh will be the center of attention for Gambian fans when his team Brighton and Hove Albion play Manchester United in the English Premier League this weekend. This follows Minteh's impressive performance against Everton last weekend. Our sports reporter Momodo Gajaga previews the home game for Minteh's team.
Brighton and Hove Albion coach Fabian Hutzler says Yankuba Minteh is ready for selection after he was substituted at halftime in his debut against Everton last weekend due to concussion protocols. The Gambia international will be trying to improve on his assist to Mitoma for Brighton and Hove Albion's opener against Everton last weekend with another good effort against the 13-time English Premier League champions. Given the popularity of the English Premier League, Manchester United's fan base and Minteh's involvement, Gambian fans will be glued to their TVs and online streaming channels to support their idol. Yankuba Minteh got a 7.51 rating out of 10 for his first half performance against Everton, had the most opportunities created 3, a 100% dribbling success, and a 100% tackle rate. Manchester United scored a late goal at home against Fulham in their Premier League opener and will be hoping to build on that victory and put behind them a recent string of poor results against Brighton, having seen Brighton win 4 of their last 5 Premier League classes. Minteh moved to Brighton for £33 million from Newcastle United, who loaned him to Dutch giants Feyenoord last season. On transferring to Brighton, Minteh immediately impressed by contributing 3 goals and 1 assist in pre-season matches. His debut impressive Premier League performance wasn't a surprise for many. Can he replicate that performance or even better it by scoring against Manchester United in Saturday's lunchtime kickoff? Gambian Man United fans will find their loyalties torn this weekend between supporting their club or the country's newest footballing hero. A match and a weekend to look forward to.
Well, all the best to Gambia's Yankuba Minteh. Well, I am afraid that is all we got time for, but before we wrap up this bulletin, here is a recap of the headlines. In a flurry of engagements on Friday, President Adama Barrow received in audience senior UN officials, the Ombudsman and the National Scorpions Fan Club at the State House. In an interview with QTV's Janaba Sonko in Beijing, China's ambassador to the Gambia, Liu Jing, has revealed that his embassy will commence issuing visas to China for the first time in 2025. Afrobarometer, a research institute through its national partner, on Friday released its 10th public survey data on the perceptions of Gambians on the quality of democracy and governance in the Gambia. And today, the 23rd of August, is the Global Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. In sports news, Yankuba Minteh will be the center of attention for Gambian fans when his team Brighton and Hove Albion play Manchester United in the English Premier League this weekend. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of the Bulletin. Do join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another news bulletin. Thanks for watching.